Hello, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Random Thoughts from my mom and dad's place. I'm at my mom and dad's house, boom boom, preparing for the Burleson Founders Day Festival on the 11th of October in Burleson, Texas. If you happen to be there, come on down, say hi. Now, a common way I've noticed that people try to get out of an argument is by trying to change the topic or make it sound like it's different. Just like fast food workers talking about a living wage versus big businesses, well, it's raising the minimum wage. It sounds like the same thing, but it's not. Let me explain. Now, July 24th, 2009, the minimum wage went up from $6.55 to the current $7.25, and that was 5 years ago. Now, you might think that would be all the argument you would need, but economists and politicians and people who really don't have a lot of problems taking care of themselves, they seem to think it's a lot more complicated than that. More on why that honks me off later. What they say is that raising the minimum wage would hurt small business, given the fact that small business generally has a small number of employees, generally why they call it a small business. A little point of clarification, if people were at mom and pop shops protesting and lining up going, help me, I might buy that, but it's not, it's at McDonald's and Burger King and the big boys that are on the, that are constantly on the news or on the internet. Now, that leads to the next argument by economists. The market, you don't have to touch it. The market itself will set a fair minimum wage. Yeah, here we go with Adam Smith's economic theory again, which is what it's taught in business schools. I know, that's where I first heard of it. Now, in 1759, yes, Syria is older than America. Smith laid out the groundworks for modern economics. The basic idea behind how Smith thought things should be run was the market or the economy will self-correct in case of imbalance. Like, according to him, we never should have bailed out the auto industry or the banks or things of that nature. This living wage thing wouldn't have happened because the needs of the market would be shaped by the market itself. Well, given the fact that the economy is on the evening news getting arrested, I think the market has spoken. Now, in Smith's day, the economy was 1 to 2 towns bartering, 50 to 100 people. I mean, in the entire town. Businesses were like, coast-to-coast chain stores would not happen for another 100 years. Now, the restaurant chains that seem to be, yelling the most, those wouldn't even come up until 1948. And Jack in the Box, just in case you were wondering. Yes, I did my research. Now, economies change, but physics seems to be a lot more stable, especially Newton's law. And his first law, every object persists means stays in a state of rest or uniform movement in a straight line unless it is compelled to change that force by forces imposed upon it. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, what does that have to do with the living wage? In Smith's day, 1700s, companies were small. And a small company of, a boss and 3 or 4 workers can make changes and can make changes quickly. Like Smith said, the market setting its own fair wage. Now, when the company becomes larger and larger and larger, more mass and more force to get it out of a state of rest. And that's basically what's been happening over the last 5 years. Now, my anger in this whole situation is the fact that I'm going through the same thing. I understand what they're talking about because they would like to be able to support themselves, and I'm having to go through the VA disability pension evaluation process. And because I would like to be able to take care of myself and, God willing, somebody special. Short version, people who have no problem, or a lot less problem than I do, taking care of myself, keep denying my claim because of it's complicated. It's complicated. Little side note. If you have a 4-year backlog of claims and appeals, with that many people unhappy, it might not be the number of people. It might be the process you put them through. Well, I think I've answered the arguments of the economists, but let me give the economists and the politicians one last thing to chew on. Now, here is my point. Most of the people who are calling for a living wage, just like me, would like to support themselves. Not have to go through, food stamps or anything like that. They just want to be able to support themselves. And with 3.3 million Americans making at or less than minimum wage. Now, say you raise the minimum wage $2.75, make it $10 an hour. You would get a weekly salary of $400 for a 40-hour work week compared to the $290 that people get now. Now, and this is just raw data. This is me putting numbers out here. But think about this. There is a difference. That would be a difference of $110 a week. Now that's just one person. Now you multiply that by the 3.3 million Americans and you get $363 million a week, or $1.5 billion a month pumped into the economy just by raising the minimum wage $2.75. Now, somebody explain to me how this hurts the economy. Now, I would argue the emotional side of this, but if I thought that would work, it would have taken 5 years and people getting arrested for people to actually be able to talk about this. But this has been Random Thoughts from me, O. Ted Bear. I hope I made some sense. And as always, I hope I helped.